We're all tuned up, we've set our levels, and but just rather than having this clean sound, how about we launch this up with a little bit of Cosm guitar effects. While we have our guitar bass selected, let's go ahead and press the effects button, and this screen will come up here. We have 120 presets here. Once you get through those, you'll get through to the user locations, another 120 right there. This is a way for you to save your own creations, and you also even have another 120 that you can store per song. You can just go ahead and use the value dial and just scroll through all of these presets. Once you get through those last song locations, then you'll get back to your presets here. And if I was to go ahead and select vocal, I'd get the same thing, a bunch of vocal effects here in presets, users, and song locations here. Same thing with line settings. These are what we call insert effects, in that they are inserted between our input and our recorder. This is very similar to when you guitarists would be very familiar with this, is that when you have, say, a line of stomp boxes, say you have a bunch of boss boxes, all in a row, you plug the output of your guitar into the box, and then the output of the box goes into your amp. They are in line or inserted into your signal chain right there. And we're going to be talking about effects a lot more within this DVD, but let me just briefly say there are basically two different types of effects. The insert effects we've been talking about, and also loop effects. You can visualize insert effects as kind of like being right in here. Your entire signal goes into the effect, and that entire signal gets affected and goes through to the input level. While the loop effects use the classic affect, send, and return loop, so only a variable portion of the signal is affected. But don't worry if you haven't got all of that. We'll go ahead and get into effects in far more detail in their own section later on this DVD. Kind of a good rule of thumb is that insert effects are normally recorded and loop effects are not. All you need to be concerned about now is selecting your input and selecting your effect. Now, one thing I will mention is that when you record these effects will be printed on your track. There is actually a way to use insert effects on playbacks of your track, but again, we'll cover that in the effects section later on the DVD. So, with your input selected, your level set, effects applied, all we need to do now is decide which track you're going to be recording on. Now, you might have noticed that the first track has been flashing red, and if we were to select any of these other tracks, then we could record on those tracks. Now, if you want to record in stereo, you can select a pair, but before we get too excited and start recording, it's probably a good idea to have a rhythm guide to play along with. Now, session musicians play along with click tracks. So